Hey Jason, what are you doing today?
We're scraping the bindings off of Tatiana.
And why are we doing that?
Well, because we've glued them in, and then we glue them in a little bit taller than they need to be. And that way any of the glue squeeze out and everything just kind of comes out nicely, and then now we need to make it where it's smooth. So this is, again, Brazilian rosewood, flame maple, African Paduk binding. I've already scraped the top if you want to see it. So this is kind of, if you want to see here, we've got our little comfort arm bevel here. And then I've scraped it a little bit on the side. See how the glue is squeezed out? We're gonna make that look nice and pretty. And we're using this scraper blade, which is pretty genius little, it's just a piece of steel, but you put an edge on that with a file, and it actually works better than sandpaper. Like sandpaper leaves a bunch of microscopic scratches and it embeds itself in. This is like an old cabinet maker's trick. And it's amazing how, like, I don't know if you can get an angle here. Whenever I pull, you'll just see it looks like it pulls up dust. That's actually like shaving the top layer off. And it works better than sandpaper. The only thing you gotta be careful about is when you're going to this turn here, it'll shear off the piece we just glued in, and we don't want that. So, it actually does way better than sandpaper. And we got a lot of that to do on the sides as well. And then I'll sand up here at the edges because I'm scared I'm gonna peel off that grain. So when I'm doing the sides like this, I'm scared. I've got this fancy tool that I made to hold it and everything like that on a bench, but I'm scared to use it because actually when I first started building guitars, I did this in my spare bedroom in the carpet because that way I couldn't drop and damage the guitar. And I just like actually holding it like this between my thigh and my foot. The only downfall of that is I get a lot of crumbs in my shoes sometimes. So we wear our high tops today. Or just move my so my foot will be red by the end of it. But right. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just like that. So again, I'm the reason I'm feeling this is trying to figure out. I can't remember which edge I sharpened really well, but what it does, it just sort of peels off. You see how that's getting wider? That's because we don't have like a bunch of sandpaper making it fuzzy. When you sand it, it looks fuzzy. Whenever you scrape it, it peels it off. You see how it's just peeling off little super fine, which I think is kind of genius. Now you gotta be careful because, I mean, our goal is to get this cleaned off, but also to have the side nice and flat on plane. A lot of people, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people do it really. I don't watch how. Everybody always asks me like, hey, have you seen this guitar maker? See what they do? And I'm like, no, I don't go home and look up other guitar builders. Maybe I should, but I don't know how everybody does it. I know that like on necks, a lot of people are using a rasp, and I really prefer like scrapers and spoke shaves because peeling the wood off seems more natural. You've gotta pay attention. If you're a novice and you're doing this, you've got to pay attention to your grain direction. Because if you go across the grain or something like that, it'll chip out, it'll really cause problems. So what I usually do is kind of get through the waist here. You see how clean that's getting? I don't know if that's showing up, but you know, there's a little bit of glue squeeze out. Just every scrape. And this is a nice flat surface too, so if I get like a a piece of sandpaper and I start doing this, you know, I could mess up and make a crown on this side, which I don't think it would really affect the guitar sound, but it's not what I want. So this being a pretty straight edge, it helps a lot. 10 minutes of scraping. We're starting to see a nice clean line here. I can still feel a little bit, so I'm gonna have to do some more. But here's what it looks, you know, looks like without it. See how it's all kind of yellowed and the glue's squeezed out and stuff. So I'm gonna go around the whole guitar, scrape it, get my fingers numb, and make it purty. Make it purty.